Hi, this is Gabe from FluentForever.com. In this third video, we're going to talk about Hebrew's vowels. My primary goal here is to get you familiar with the IPA symbols for these vowels, and to give you a rough sense of how they fit in your mouth. Keep in mind throughout this process, the better you learn to hear these sounds, the better you'll be able to keep track of which one is which, and the better you'll produce them. We're going to be talking a bit about tongue placement, so to give you a rough sense of that, try this. Compare e, and a in English, as in seat, set, and sat. You'll notice that your tongue starts up high, e goes to the middle of your mouth, and then goes down to a. So your tongue can go up and down. It can also go forward and back. Compare as in bet and as in but. Your tongue goes forward for and then pulls back for bet, but. Now, if you'd like a much more in-depth discussion about vowel formation, check out some of the videos linked below. But for the beginning, that's about all you're going to need. So let's get to some Hebrew. On some levels, Hebrew is extremely simple when it comes to vowels. Depending upon how you count, English has 11 or 12 vowels.
And Hebrew has just 5. A, E, I, O, U.
Not only that, but you already know their IPA symbols. They're just lowercase a, e, I, o, and u. So our challenge here isn't really memorization. It's figuring out how to pronounce each of these vowels accurately. And we'll start with the easiest two.
I and U. I shows up in Hebrew's iltit and English's si.
And it's basically the same in both languages unless your dialect of English actually uses two vowels when you say E. If you say something like si or sei, then you'll need to get rid of that first vowel and stick to the second. Si, E.
U shows up in Hebrew's umtza, nu, and English's nu.
Again, this vowel is pretty much the same in both languages, but as we just mentioned with E, some dialects of English will use two vowels here. Nu.
Where Hebrew consistently will use just one pure U, nu. The next vowel we'll cover is E as in ish or pen.
Here's where we'll take advantage of our earlier discussion about vowel height. You remember how E was high up in your mouth and E was in the middle of your mouth?
Well, Hebrew's E is in between those two. So English has pen and Hebrew has pin. The difference here is really slight. Hebrew's E vowel is significantly closer to English's E vowel than it is to the I vowel. Our next vowel is O, as in gadol, or go.
This vowel is very similar to American English's O, as in go. The issue with the vowel in go is that it's actually two vowels. You start at O, this is where you want to be in Hebrew, but then you go on to O.
Hebrew stays put. We say go.
And now we come to the last of Hebrew's vowels.
A, as in alon.
This vowel is similar to Hebrew's A, as in dog or father. The Hebrew vowel, though, is a bit more forward in your mouth, so your tongue is going to be about halfway towards the American vowel A.
So English has bomb and bam, and halfway in between, Hebrew has bum, bomb, bum, bam.
And those are the 5 vowels of Hebrew. The only thing we have left to discuss is what happens when you combine two vowels in a row. There are a few different things that can happen here, one of which is that the two vowels are going to slide into each other in a combination known as a diphthong. English is full of diphthongs. Of our so-called 5 vowels, A, E, I, O, and U, 3 of them, A, I, and O, those are actually diphthongs. They're not single vowels at all. In American English, at least, we go A, I, and O. Now, Hebrew has diphthongs too. We'll go over them now. As a quick aside, though, notice the little semicircles under the second vowel letter in these English diphthongs. That symbol doesn't change the vowel at all. It's just there to tell you that the extra vowel here, it's not an extra syllable. So you're saying A, I, and O, 3 syllables, and not E, I, and O, 6 syllables. Anyway, returning to Hebrew. Hebrew's diphthongs. These generally end in E, and they start with any of the other vowels.
So there's I, as in shulchanotai, A, as in seva, Oi, as in goy, and Ui, as in panui.
And so it's pretty straightforward when there's an E vowel at the end. You just make that E vowel a little weaker than the other vowel. In the Hebrew spelling, these diphthongs all end in the letter Yud, which basically just creates a diphthong when it comes after any other vowel, and acts as a consonant Y when it comes before a vowel. We talked about that in the last video.
As in the word yerek.
And that's it for the E diphthongs. Now, there are other vowel combinations. And in those cases, generally, all you're going to do is pronounce both vowels with a small glottal stop in between to help separate the two vowels.
That gives you combinations like simtaot and pe'amim.
In the Hebrew spelling, you can tell when you're going to use one of those glottal stops because you're going to see one of Hebrew's two silent letters.
An aleph or an ain.
Those letters basically function as placeholders for vowels, and so you'll generally hear a glottal stop whenever you see one of them with a vowel underneath. This even works when you have the same vowel twice in a row.
As in ra'ah or be'er.
That said, in casual speech, when someone isn't carefully saying every single syllable, you will find that native speakers will sometimes drop their glottal stops, and so you'll hear something a bit different.
You'll hear ra'ah or be'er rather than ra'ah and be'er.
Basically, that speaker is going to say the vowel twice as long, rather than separating the two repetitions of the vowel with a glottal stop. One thing that remains, though, is that even without the glottal stop, you're still going to get a little impulse of energy on the second vowel.
It's ra'ah, not ra.
This phenomenon of vowel doubling, it also shows up occasionally when you get two E vowels in a row.
In words like Israelim.
There's one last thing I'd like to cover in this video, which is to briefly discuss word stress in Hebrew and how it ties in with the vowels. In English, a stressed syllable can entirely change the meaning of a word. We have, for instance, incense and incense. Now, stress is just as important in Hebrew, and it's a little more predictable than English. There are basically two rules to know. The first and the most important rule is that most words are stressed on their final syllables.
That gives you words like alon, nachash, and dvorah.
And just to point out how IPA marks stress, you may notice a tiny line that looks a little like a single quote. That symbol means you should stress the syllable that comes right after it. Moving on to Rule 2.
If the last vowel in the word is a segol, the e vowel with 3 dots, or a patach, this single line a vowel,
then you're generally going to see a stress on the second to last syllable.
That gives you words like ozen, delet, teva, and efroach.
And that's basically it for the word stress rules. There are lots of exceptions, so be careful and keep your ears open, but those rules should work most of the time. And with that, we are done with Hebrew vowels. To quickly review, we began by covering the 5 vowels of Hebrew.
There was I, as in Hebrew's iltit, then came U, as in umtza, next was E, as in ish.
This one was very close to English's E vowel, but the tongue came up just a little bit in the direction of E.
Then there was O, as in gadol.
This was similar to the first vowel in O, as in go. You just stay on that beginning O part. Go, o, go.
And last we had A, as in alon.
This one had a tongue position in between English's ah and ah. After that, we discussed vowel combinations, starting with the diphthongs ending in E.
I, as in shulchanotai. A, as in seva. Oi, as in goy. And ui, as in panui.
Then we talked about other vowel combinations which generally are separated with a glottal stop.
As in simtaot, pe'amim, ra'ah, and be'er.
But in casual, fast speech, those glottals can sometimes fall away, giving you either combinations of 2 vowels in a row with a little impulse on the second,
as in simtaot and pe'amim.
Or if you have 2 of the same vowel in a row, you'll often hear one vowel with twice the length.
As in ra'ah, be'er, and Israelim.
And so with that, we've covered all the sounds of Hebrew. Our next stop will cover a few of Hebrew's spelling rules.